Welcome to Mudeford. I've looked it up. I was wondering if it was Mudeford, but it's not. So this is our third day down at the New Forest, Christchurch area, Barton-on-Sea, and we're currently on the south side of Mudeford. Yeah, beautiful. The DJI mic's gonna be getting its work load today under this. This is why I like to test it sometimes, just to see how good it actually is. So I put it close to my mouth. The closer it is, the better, I found. I had it down here the other day and it didn't do too well. So this morning, I'd seen reports on bird guides that there was a hawfinch, a wheatear and a purple sandpiper in this area, and it was only 15 minutes away. So while my wife was getting up slowly, doing her hair, I popped down here quickly. So I went for the hawfinch first, and it was at the, let's have a look here. Notes, always important. The sandpit marsh, just up that way where that church is. And I parked in a road called Disraeli Road. That was the closest sort of spot to where the bird guide said the hawfinch were. Now, I never have my hopes up high. I just go down and check it out. But I kept being distracted by greenfinch. This is a great area, this part of the world, part of the UK anyway, for greenfinch. And I kept getting distracted for them because I keep trying to get better video and better photos. So they gave me some good stuff here and no hawfinch, sadly. The wheatears was apparently further into the sandpit and I didn't have much time. So I just took what I could of the greenfinch and grey-spotted woodpecker briefly. I recognise that thing flying anywhere. Then I came down to the Mudeford quay over here, parked up quickly, ran over to the water to see if purple sandpiper was anywhere obvious. Nothing really going on. A crow was working on a fish skeleton that was in the mud. Muddy swan, and plenty of red shank. The red shanks are big down here. So you have to scan all of them because there's a very slight similarity to the purple sandpiper if you don't know what they look like. And while walking around that area, I heard Chetty's warblers, wrens, goldfinch. So it's a very good bird. It's a very good area for birding. So I definitely need to spend some time down here. And given all of the nature reserves are good checking out over time. 3 days, I came down for 3 days and even that's not enough. It's technically going to be 4 because we're here all day tomorrow and we're going to drive back slowly through the New Forest. So on the way through, I noticed this area called Highcliffe had some really nice pastry shops. I didn't want to sit and cook eggs to bring out with me. So I said to my wife, instead of breakfast, we'll have a combined breakfast and lunch and we'll pick up some pasties. So we stopped at this place. I'll put it up for you. I've forgotten it already, but I'll put the map location up. Steak bakes, Cornish pasties, everything you could want. Lovely. Loads of sandwiches as well. So I got the giant steak bake, and we sat in the cab. We parked the cab up at the front of the car park and just looked out over the sea. And then while I'd eaten mine, I shoved mine down my throat really quickly. I walked over and checked the situation with the boats, and it's every 15 minutes, £3.50 per person each way. I thought it might be round trip, but no, quite pricey for a 5-minute boat ride. But we didn't expect to go on a boat, so we're doing okay. I mean, to be on a boat on a ride on a trip like this is really nice. So it'd be nice if they offered something that goes around the whole interior here, but another day. We'll come down here when it's a bit warmer and the sun sets a bit later in the day. And so anyway, there's first off, the toilet facilities on both sides are fantastic. Over on this side, the south side, there's about 4 toilet blocks. So you have no problem with toilets here. It's perfect. One big one over there, all clean, happy. And food, you've got food coming out your ears. You've got all sorts of cafes and coffee shops. You've Cornish pasties, proper meals. Yeah, you're covered. You're perfectly covered. When you drive down towards these kind of areas, you think, oh, they're going to have facilities. Don't worry, they've got everything. You're covered, okay? So limited mobility. If you need the loo, food, feeding, excellent. They've got everything. Good for dog walkers. And let's have a check up again. What else we got? So yeah, we came over in the boat. Very steady. I was even able to film some turnstone on the beach here. The boat was that stable. And then just past those, I've counted them now. There are at least three male widgeon on the beach here. Nothing on the further south one because they're just dogs run out and scare everything off. There's not much here. I mean, in the pond on the south side, there's potential for lots of different stuff. As you can see from this drawing, this map, there are possible dunlin spots, red shank, widgeon, goldeneye. So maybe at different times of the year. So look, I can hear rock pipit. Yeah, that's got to be rock pipit. Yeah. Okay. So I just had to drop everything there. I believe those in this area. I know further down I've seen in the past rock pipit. So I think that's a rock pipit with the darker chest, and I can see why this area is cordoned off, because it's a nesting area. We've got that looks like common ring plovers and oyster catchers, and I'm sure that was. I thought it might have been skylark, but I know that pipits do that as well, where they go up, they just hover and they chirp as they go up. I'm sure that wasn't a skylark. I should know that, but yeah, so I think they're nesting in there. It's 4 or 5 of them. So one just landed on the fence over there. But I managed to film it going up not too badly, even then this real strong wind. Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of action. If you look out, if you keep an eye, I'm hoping that one of these cormorants turns out to be a shag. But nothing yet, they're all cormorants. No seabirds. Like if this was Kent, you'd probably see some loons or things like that, razorbills or something. But yeah, look at all these beach huts. I'll do you a couple of sweeps. I filmed it just to overlay onto this. My wife's going crazy. I'm like, how much is it to buy? And yeah, I went onto the website. I'll put it up for you. The estate agents that deal with most of this, and I had a look, and it comes up about 450 to 465, and they've got probably 10 or 12 available. I've seen ones for hire. Whether they put them online or you just have to write down the phone number, a lot of them are saying like no dogs are, even though this is a big dog walking area. I suppose they just don't want the dog mess and the dog smell in the material and the beds and everything. So let's just have another double check if anything else to inform you. Stopped at High Cliff for pasties. You already know all this. So I think that's everything for today. I'll just keep showing you more of the little bits of footage I took to overlay, because I just pulled it out. The wind would the microphone wouldn't be able to handle the wind, so it's best I just put the quiet footage over me talking, and let's see if I can just fill in some gaps. Yeah, you got the ones that face the lake and the ones that face the sea, and I said to my wife, can you imagine getting the ones stuck with the ones that face the lake, when you'd want to be facing the sea, but then it probably gets a bit tiresome facing the sea, because like today, it's going to be windy a lot. It's the UK, and you probably want to sit outside. You end up not being able to sit outside. So at least with the ones facing the lake, the lagoon, that's the word. Is that the right word? The lagoon. It's going to be calmer, and you can just take your boat out. I've seen people with their fishing gear, their paddle boards. What a life. Yeah. I think the only way you could have afforded one of these is bought it many years ago and had it handed down. But I just like coming to visit places like this. We always talk about buying a place abroad. First of all, can't afford that. That's ridiculous. And secondly, that means you're restricted to going back to that same place on every trip you do to make the most of it. So the way we do it, we get to stay in a new place every time. And we've hit our final day at the New Forest. So we've just parked up in one of the many car parks. And one of my pet hates besides dogs are loud engines, loud motorcyclists. Let's just go to somewhere that's really quiet and make a load of noise. Yeah, let's do that. You know, in the Home Alone movies where they obviously can't swear because it's a children's movie, so I have to do that. Get that. Stupid idiot. So anyway, we were coming back towards Southampton, and I stopped in at Keyhaven again just to check the wildlife reserve there, and actually very quiet compared to when we first arrived. But did see the kingfisher, female kingfisher. It was hunting on some of the ladders and some of the ropes, pulling up tiny, I wasn't quick, I just about managed to capture a couple of seconds before it swallowed a couple of them. I don't know if they're tiny shrimp or tiny fish. But yeah, you can see there are some other people there with binoculars and other tourists, nothing to do with birds, who look over and scare it off. And yeah, so it would fly off towards the marsh. I got a little bit of footage. The 4K crop, man, that thing, I love it. I can hand hold it to an extent to get me out of trouble and get me some footage. So I'm pretty happy with that. And then in the distance on the other side of the marsh, was it my first red kite? I think it's a first red kite of the holiday. One of the bird of the other day said they're quite rare here, so that's quite unusual. So that was nice. And before we drove away, we didn't go this way last time. We went around what's the name of the road? Salt Marsh Lane and the lakes. I just thought, let's drive around to the water side and see what's going on around there. And glad we did. Wow, I mean, it's a whole nother area. This is where all the Brent geese are. I think they're dark-bellied Brent geese. They're all on the mud and the water and the marshes feeding away. So I thought, right, I'm gonna have to spend some time here scanning through to see what else is peppered in there, hoping for maybe the purple sandpiper that's been mentioned on bird guides. So can you see this? I'm in the wonderful New Forest. Did I mention? No, I didn't. Last night, a young chap, don't know if I should mention names or not, you all know who I am, met in the car park. He said, are you Stormcat birds? And his dad was there, how you doing? And asked him for suggestions and anything like that. So, I mean, I don't know if he would recognize me. If I'd have showed up in a normal car, would he have recognized me? But the black cab stands out a mile. I mean, down here, we've seen Porsches and Lambos and all sorts of stuff. And a couple of people point, but the black cab, everybody's like, what's a black cab? So easy to spot me, Stormcat birds. So anyway, these Brent geese, and then in amongst them, I got a single curlew, only because it called to me, and I sort of had to, oh yeah, there he is over there. Every time, if you notice with curlews, it's when they take off, they make the call, and then when they land, they stop it. So it draws your attention to them. And then some oyster catchers peppered around, and pretty close. And the funny thing is, you come all the way to places like this, and all I can think of is, well, down at Crossness, I can see this anyway. I can't see the Brent geese. Apparently there were a couple there 2-3 weeks ago, which is very unusual for that far into London. So yeah, the oyster catchers, which I've probably got 6 at Crossness, and there was about 3 or 4 here that I could see. And then the turnstones were the kind of star of the show. I mean, they were all feeding out in the water. And as I parked the cab up and walked along to get a little scope of the place, noticed they kept trying to cross the road. So I stood by this bridge and I watched them, and every time something came by, a motorcycle, another vehicle, they ran back. And I thought, what are they? I looked over to where they were trying to cross, and there was nothing there. There was just kind of a little mound and then this sort of field, nowhere for them to go. And then once they ran past me and got across, I could see somebody had sprinkled some bird seed. So they were aiming for that. So I know now that maybe if I bring some bird seed, the turnstones will come and feed out of my hand. But it was hilarious watching them run across the road just in front of you. Like, when you see those videos of a mother mallard taking chicks across the road behind her. What else have we got? So my handy second phone. Curlew. Oh yeah, okay, so finished up there. There was, I'll just show you this as well. Loads and loads of swans. Swans down here in crazy numbers. And yeah, I don't know what they were feeding on. I thought somebody sprinkled, because they looked like they were feeding in the mud, but maybe the food they'd been given had sunken into the mud and they were just taking it out and filtering it through their beaks. And then, so yeah, as we left the area, we'll come back, and we need more time. This is our final day. We've got all our important stuff with us, so we can't leave the vehicle and go off walking into the distance. We have to keep an eye on it wherever we've been. So can you hear this? So cars overtaking. This is cars now. Yeah, just make a noise, Anyway, so driving up the road to leave, and a female stonechat caught my eye, hoping maybe it would be a wind chat, but maybe a bit too early for that. So a bit of a heat haze there, nothing spectacular. And then as we headed off towards Lymington, very, very, very briefly, I tried to jump out quickly, but a gull chased it off. It was a red kite, another red kite, very low over our heads. So by the time I jumped out, the gull had chased it off. But I needn't worry, because as we headed through Lymington towards Beaulieu, it was like red kite crazy, and so many of them. I was pulling over all the time. I did try and get a couple of shots off once we were in Beaulieu, but it was that thing where the light it wasn't quite enough sunlight, that when bird was above your head, it was just in shadow underneath, so you couldn't get that lovely exposed bird and background at the same time. But mostly I videoed because they were relatively distant, good enough for film, because when you film, as you might know, with DSLRs and zoom lenses, it kind of crops a bit more than photos does, so you get more of the frame filled. So I just got my fill of red kite footage, even though I can already see through the viewfinder that it's going to be a bit heat hazy. But I did jump, yeah, I've jumped ahead a bit, but I'm going to get to the point where I'm going to tell you about my most epic fail. I've had a worse epic fail, and that was in Costa Rica. There with the ringed kingfisher, belted kingfisher, when it landed 6 feet in front of me, my battery wasn't charged. Anyway, so we parked in one of the car parks. I'm hoping for Dartford warblers here, and I don't know where to look, so just loads of gorse bushes. And as we were walking away from the car, 50 feet away, I saw a little bird, small, long tail. I went, yes. And I don't know what happened, but I filmed 3 times. It went into the bush, I got a glimpse of it. Then it came out of the bush and I got some video, pretty frame filling. And then I did it again when it went in and came back out. And then as I looked and looked and looked, and I know, okay, well, let's look back at the quality. And I'd messed up. Somehow at some point, I had hit record and didn't know I'd hit record. Or I'd hit record and didn't press stop properly. So every time I pressed record, I was actually pressing stop. And I didn't get any of those 3 bits of footage. Dartford warbler. Yeah. I was steaming. I sat around for about another half an hour hoping for me to get it back and save myself. What are you? One moment. So I just dropped my camera in some dried up horse poop. I think it smells like it was just a male chaffinch. We've got enough of that. And right, okay, we'll get this. Yeah, you can hear it. See, right, okay, let's get. So messed up massively with the Dartford warbler. It never came back. I'm hoping here one shows up just before we drive off, and I'm a happy bunny. But anyway, 2 kestrels flew over. I actually took some pictures of those. And then we moved on to this lake further up the road, and a couple of buzzards, very heat hazy, but I'm taking the record. So a marsh harrier, buzzards, kestrels, and red kites, 4 raptor species for the trip. And Mediterranean gulls at this lake. They stand out of my, it's weird. It actually sounded like I was at Laysdown Beach, because that's where you usually get them up my way. What else have we got? Beaulieu, lots of red kites. And then we went for Beaulieu has to be one of the most English villages you've ever seen in your life. As far as I could see, there were no modern buildings in it. It was your typical, I don't know, can you say chocolate boxy English town? It just stunning. And there were ponies and donkeys wandering around. You could just pull up and the donkeys came to the window by one of the many ice cream shops. Just wow. I mean, but we just don't have time today. Yeah, we have to come back and devote some more time to this. My wife said, why don't we stay down for a couple more days? But the point of this trip is we're doing it while the weather is at 13 degrees 14 and there's a wind which makes it slightly chilly. In a couple of days it's gone down to 9, and that's pretty much impossible to use to enjoy. So we're just going to have to call it quits and come back, especially to Beaulieu. If you get the chance, come down to Beaulieu. What a stunning place. Couple of days of just wandering around there on its own. Yeah, my heart just sings when it sees that kind of place, especially when you don't see anything modern there. Yeah. So, and the last little thing, I think I've covered mostly everything now. Yeah. And just to say, yeah, I was just standing by this tree here, and there was a coal tit singing in it. But the surprise was, by these trees, I'll end off with this. I heard a call that I wasn't familiar with, and I checked it out, and it was a marsh tit. So I'll just end the whole trip on that, and you can hear it. It's the first time I got marsh tit call. It was only a lifer for me at the end of 2024. So I've got some nice song. I was at 4K crop, so you know, I'll clean it up as best I can. And there was some car with an engine running behind me. But anyway, that was a nice little trip. I hope you enjoyed the vlog. Any questions, let me know. I think I've covered everything, and signing out.